Hello again, YouTube. Today we've got a 2000 Nissan Maxima, 245,000 miles. We are called in for a brake job today. I've already got the car jacked up and set on jack stands, and I've got both sides of the car off the ground. One of the reasons why is so that we can inspect the front end. And this is what I discovered when we lifted up the front end. We've got a bad ball joint. So that's going to be on the to-do list in the near future. But today we're just going to be concentrating on the brakes. Alright, start off, turn the wheel all the way in the direction to the side you're working on. Put your tires underneath the vehicle for additional safety. Got a breaker bar, socket wrench, 3-inch extension, 19mm socket, 14mm socket for our caliper bolts, file to clean up the backing plate and the bracket, C-press to push the piston back in, and small 14mm to work with, and our Glide brake lubricant, and we're ready to go. Start off by taking these two bolts out here. Take my bottom bolt, put it forward, take my top bolt, put it back. That way there I can keep which one's which. It doesn't come off, put C-press on it. Squeeze it just enough that you can get the caliper to come off. And your caliper, hang it up here on your coil spring so it doesn't hang on your hose. If you've got a coat hanger or a hook made for this, just put your hook up here, hook it to your caliper so your caliper doesn't get knocked down. And get to the brake pads. All of this is that bad ball joint. But these pads are a little bit seized in there, so we're gonna have to do a little cleaning underneath the shims. Alright, I got the brake pads out. They still have their wear indicators, but they are not worn evenly, which indicates that they're either getting stuck in the caliper bracket or the pins aren't moving, and in this case that one's really stiff and that one's stiff, so it looks like we're going to have a little project with some pins. Well, that one's very stuck. That one's not so stuck. That one's very, very stuck. Okay. So we're going to take the caliper bracket off. Bottom bolt forward. It's got a large washer on it. Not all cars have a washer on them, but this one does. You don't want to lose that. Top bolt towards the back. Clip off of there. There's our bracket. A little bit of wear, not too bad. Minimal rust scaling, so that'll be easy to clean up. We're going to have to work on getting this out. Take some penetrating oil. So wiggle, get this boot loose. Ooh, there's some rust in there. Try to get underneath the boot. Lift it up. Spray a bunch of penetrating oil down in there. And then gently tap it with a hammer. Okay, well, that still doesn't want to move. I'm going to go grab a pair of vice grips to grab a hold of that with. Grab a hold of a pair of vice grips. I like to face my vice grips facing in towards the bracket, so it gives me a little leverage. A little bit of movement. Probably be a lot easier to hit this with a torch. Once you get it moving, spray some more down in there. Got the pin out, cleaned it up, clean all the rust off of it, clean out the bore, grab some fresh silicone, sealant, lubricant, whatever, edit that out. And I'll just use a liberal amount of this. I don't need a whole lot, just enough to basically give it a real good coating. A little extra for down inside the bore. Go around the outside. I'll slide the boot back on, try to get in the same position it was. And same thing on the other side, clean that all up. Get the rust and old grease out of here. And this one's not too bad. Spray a little down there, it's all the yuck. Out. Moves in there nice and easy. Again, get everything cleaned out. And just make sure there's no scaling on here. And here with the file, clean it up a little. Well, there's no scaling, it's nice and clean. Put a little bit of Siliglide on those metal contacts that the hardware sits on. It'll help to eliminate rust from building underneath and jacking the hardware up and locking your brake pads. The access out of there. Don't need any of that on the brakes. Now your caliper bracket is ready for going on. We got brand new rotors too, so we're going to take care of those. They're not too bad, but he said to replace them, so we're replacing them. Plastic off of it. Brake cleaner. I like to give it just a quick douse. That's oil that's on it from the factory. Keep it from rusting. You don't want that getting burned into your brake pads. And take your new rotor, set it in place, your bracket, make sure we don't have any of that grease where it's going to touch. Bracket back in, bolt from the back over here, top. Bolt down here at the bottom. And go ahead and snug those right in. Okay. Now what I like to do is get these bolts snugged down lightly. And then I like to slowly tighten them up while helping things seat. You don't warp things as easily. Nice and tight. Breaker bar. You don't need to make these so tight that they snap off on you. Hardware clips. You got two different types in here. Got a top and a bottom. These right here go on the top, the leading edge, to push to help push the brake pads back outward. And we've already lubricated in here. We're going to take these and just slide them up, lock them in place. Slide this one down and lock it in place. Once they're in, grab your brake pads. I recommend pulling all four out just to make sure that there aren't any differences between any of them. In this case we have rights and lefts. So two of these. Those go over to the other side. Now these are little squealers, face up towards the top, and then they lock in these little ears right here. So take it, put it in there. It locks in. Supposed to. Piece right there sits on the inside. Same thing on the outside. A little ear goes inside. Now that's how they fit in there. So we're going to make sure everything's okay. Put a little bit of lube right on the ears. And only on the ears. A little edge that makes contact here. just to help it slip around a little bit. Everything's lined up. Bring the caliper back down. Gonna have to push the piston back in. Now what you want to do too, brake cleaner, spray around your piston. Get all the dust and dirt and whatnot out of there. Inspect the boot. Make sure there's no burns or tears or holes in it. If everything looks good, you go ahead and depress the piston. There's a couple of different tools on the market for doing this. Easy jobs like this, I just assume use a regular C-clamp. Right into the middle of the piston. And just gently, slowly push it back in. And once you got the piston bottomed out, take your C-clamp out. Make sure you don't twist your hose. And then slide it down, line up your pins. Put in your bolts. Can't replace me, figure out, there we go. There you have it. Make sure everything moves. Go ahead and put your wheel back on. Repeat the process on the other side. And that's how you do your brakes in your 2000 Nissan Maxima. Have a good night, YouTube. Don't forget, pick up some wrenches and get a little dirty.